like to welcome everybody to Clergy Talk Podcast. The world wants to know. Today's guest I have Denise Caffo, and she is the founder of Society's First and president. With that being said, Denise, you go ahead and take it away for us.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Denise, and I am the president, CEO, and co-founder of Society First, which is a 501c3 nonprofit that focuses on criminal justice and social reform in the state of Florida. And the reason why, so I have my partner and co-founder is incarcerated in the Florida Department of Corrections, and he has been sentenced to life for a crime that was committed when he was 17. He is now 46. The state of Florida has more life without parole sentences than 38 other states combined.
Wow.
This is a profound it's just profound. It's mind-boggling to me and almost everyone else that I tell that to. Florida, their prison system is based on the backs of mass incarceration, which is a root cause of life sentences, which goes all the way back to the 1800s and is a result of slavery. It is actually unconstitutional. In the Florida Constitution, it states that indefinite and undetermined sentences are illegal.
Okay.
So we are bringing attention to the fact. Also, we are a Christian organization, and I feel personally myself that as a society, we can do better. As a human race, we can do better. And as believers, we must do better. We have torn down the Confederate flag. We have ripped down the Confederate statues. And now it's time for us to strike down this Confederate law that has been way too long. It's time for it to be put to sleep. People cannot be defined by a mistake that they make early on in life.
Right.
I know that I've never been in trouble, but I know that I am not the person that I most certainly was in my teens or early 20s.
Right.
I'll be 56. I'm not even the person I was 10 years ago.
Right.
The system, I've been in and out of the prison system for about the last 8 years. And I can tell you that the system, if someone that I love and trust implicitly, such as my daughter, would have told me things that I saw with my own eyes. If I did not see them with my own eyes, I would not have believed it.
Okay.
We are the United States of America. We are not a third world country.
Right.
Inside the prisons, I can't even tell you. Okay. The environment is horrific. The living conditions are horrific. I have pictures of boxes of food in the kitchen that are labeled not for human consumption. They sit idle all day long. Lifers, specifically, they don't want to spend taxpayers' money on lifers. So most of the time, if a lifer wants to take a GED course, they're not allowed. You know, why are we going to waste taxpayers' money for you to get your GED when you're never getting out of prison? It's a waste of money. They sit idle. There is no rehabilitation at all. Okay, it's not focused on rehabilitation or redemption. It's based on warehousing and big money. This is big money. This is big business. And we just think that we must do better. We sentence children as young as 9 years old in the state to life. I personally, myself, where I work, I have a day job, a career. We have mentors in the community and whatnot. And someone came to me now, and we have a 14-year-old that committed a crime in self-defense, and they're looking at life. That, to put a child that young, first off, they determined right off the bat, we're going to try him as an adult. So that means he's being tried as an adult. He's going into an adult prison. The only way to protect that child in a place of predators is to put him in solitary confinement.
Okay.
Solitary confinement has already been proved. You could put the most docile person in solitary confinement, and when they come out, they are so messed up from being withdrawn from human interaction that even the most docile person will have the ability to commit murder. Okay, now we're going to lock that child up in solitary confinement until he is of age to come out into general population. What good does that do?
Right.
How is that making the people's tax money work? You know, and you have the transients that go in and come out and go in and come out. These people are coming out worse off than when they went in. You know, they join gangs, they do drugs, they stab people. There's no rehabilitation. What we want to do is we want to bring parole back to Florida. Okay, parole was banned, you know, years ago. It's
whoa! It was banned?
Yes, we don't have parole in the state of Florida.
Wow, I didn't even know that, because I thought that all states, you know, had some type of parole board. So, oh my goodness, wow.
So parole was whittled out, and I believe that anyone who was sentenced before 1994 falls under parole. However, there's about 4,600 of those people that go before the parole board every 6 to 12 years, and all they get is denied, and we'll see you back in another 10 years. Those people aren't even getting released. Since 94, when you're sentenced to life, you're sentenced to life. So we have over 30,000 men, women, and children that are sentenced to death by incarceration.
Wow.
So it's a lot to comprehend when you really think about it. So we want to bring back a parole plan, but we want to bring back an incentivized parole plan that is basically like when you go to college, if you want an associate's degree, you do a certain amount of years. You got to do the work, you got to do a certain amount of years, bachelor's and master's and so forth and so on. We want to bring back a plan, you know, say you're sentenced to life, it's 25 years, like in California. You get out in 25 years, but we want you to work. We want you to do the work. We want you to redeem yourself, rehabilitate yourself, learn how to be a good citizen, know how to manage your finances, learn computer skills, you know, whatever it is. If you choose to do the work and you do it well, you deserve a second chance. If you choose not to do the work and you want to do drugs and you just want to hang out and join a gang, then you do what you want to do. But if you choose to do the work and better yourself and go through the process of you know, what happened that caused me to do what I did. Now, there's absolutely, under no circumstances do we want to just excuse the crime, okay? Because if you commit a crime, you need to do the time, okay? But these people took from society. We need to give them the opportunity to give back to society. And from my experience being behind the prison walls, these people go above and beyond because of the crimes that they commit. They have that much more to prove coming out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, we had our inaugural conference in January in Tallahassee, and we had a whole entire segment called Diamonds in the Rough. And it was about, I would say, 15, 20 people that did a video clip on the big screen. And they just basically introduced themselves and said what they do for a living, what they do for their communities, the whole 9 yards. Nobody knew that any of these people until the end of the segment were formerly incarcerated people. And then they all came out onto the stage. And I mean, some of them run billion-dollar companies. Some of them have, are give back to the community. They have families, they're taxpayers, they provide jobs. I mean, they're diamonds in the rough. Okay. And there's a million people in prison stuck in there that have the inability to shine because they're not given a second chance. And we just feel that we have to do better. Norway is closing prisons. The United States has 5% of the world's population, but 25% of the world's incarceration.
Well, I heard that before. Yeah, I heard that one. Yeah.
I mean, that's just a problem. We are apparently, supposedly, the greatest country on planet Earth. We can do better with these people. Okay, we should be turning these people out, to come out and be productive members of society. So they're putting into the communities, paying taxes. We need to let them vote. It's just, we have to do better.
Well, one of the things that I directly see on an everyday basis based on the work I do is that once a person gets out of prison, if they have a felony, apartment's not going to rent to them. So unless they find a private owner that will say, okay, I'm going to give you a chance, they're probably going to end up homeless. And if they end up homeless, they might go back to their old ways and say, look, I'm just not going to be homeless. I'm going to take care of myself one way or another. So it's kind of like a catch-22. You're out now, but you can't get a job and you can't get a place to live. And if you get a job, it might be a job that's not going to pay you any money, unless you find a job that gets tax write-offs for hiring felons, So
it's a sick cycle. It's the never revolving circle. And there's a lot of things that need to be done. More and more companies are listed as second chance companies that will hire felons because, again, you talk to employers and they say, he's one of the best employees I ever had because they have so much more to prove than you and I. Okay. The felony title and in Florida, if you steal a cell phone, it's a felony.
Oh, wow.
Because anything over $750 is considered a felony. And you'll carry that title for the rest of your life. And yes, you can't get housing. And it's hard to get a job. And it's if you don't pay all your court fees and whatnot, you don't get your rights restored to vote. So, I mean, there's a lot of problems. If you do your time and you get out, we voted as a people for Amendment 4 2 years ago that these people should have their rights to vote. And the governor said, no, I'm going to vote against that. And they're going to pay all their court fees and fines and restitution before they can vote. Which, okay, I mean, if push comes to shove, I guess we could deal with that. However, some people have been in there so long that court records have been destroyed and nobody knows how much they owe.
Wow.
And if you apply for voting rights and you're not really allowed to apply for voting rights, it's a violation and you can go back to prison. So it's the never-ending cycle. It's big money. I did re-entry for about 4 years. And it was very, very sad. Very, very sad. They don't give you an opportunity, really. They don't set you up. You're supposed to get a bus ticket and $50. Half the time, paperwork gets messed up. You got the bus ticket, you're not getting the $50. You want to wait around another couple of weeks to get the $50. Who's going to do that? They want out.
That's it. That's all they get is $50.
Yeah, and sometimes they don't even get the $50.
Wow.
I had someone that I was asked to help re-enter, and he got on the bus. He was given an address by the DOC, and he was told that it was a halfway house or a transition house. and it was a McDonald's. And I thought at first that it was a mistake. But once I got more and more involved, there was about 115 other people that were released to that same city block. And the probation officer would come in the middle of the night and check up on all her people on that city block. He had a 13-second violation of an ankle monitor because he had to go to the bathroom in McDonald's in the middle of the night, and it was a violation, and he is now back in prison for another 6 years for a technical violation.
So my question is, how did that happen?
Mind-boggling to me. Mind-boggling to me. I talked to his probation officer. I tried to get him transferred to my county. He was a certified paralegal. He got certified in prison. I got him a job at a fellow advocate's law firm. We had special permission for him to leave the county. He would ride 2 buses and then a bicycle. He would get there, shower, dress in his suit. Nobody knew he was homeless. No one even knew that he was formerly incarcerated. He appeared to be the best looking employee she had, but he struggled because he did 22 years and he just could not wrap his mind around the concept of data entry. You know, you have to use a computer these days. And it was unfortunate, but the probation officer said to me, she goes, he will go back to where he came from sooner or later. I mean, she just had it out for him. And I tried to get him transferred to Palm Beach County. We tried to get him housing. There's no housing available. We had a $28 million budget cut 2 years ago, and most of the transitioning housing went bye-bye. So, I mean, it's just really a tough situation.
Wow. So I was under the impression, I guess, based on media and everything else, that Texas was the worst prison system in the universe.
There's 3. There's California, Texas, and Florida.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, Texas executes more people than they're
that
high on the death penalty. You know, Texas is comparable to Florida because the conditions, I mean, it's hot here and it's hot there. It's brutal in the summer. We don't have any air conditioning in our state facilities. The walls sweat in the summer. It gets about 122 degrees in a cell. A lot of our infrastructures are so old, they should be condemned. You know, I mean, it's very unfortunate. They're riddled with mold. They're riddled with rats, roaches. It's rough. You know, again, we are the United States of America. We're not a third world country.
Okay, so, and I've been looking at this situation for a long, long time. Maybe not directly involved, but because, like I said, because of the work I do, I meet a lot of people who are ex-felons and trying to get their life together. And I kind of look at it like this. You have one side of the spectrum that lives in the neighborhood. They're never going to get arrested. The police is never going to pull them over and talk bad to them. They don't have to worry about police brutality. They're just kind of like living in a make-believe universe. Then you have another neighborhood where if the police pull you over, you might get beat up, you might get shot, you might get accused for a crime you didn't commit. You might be the scapegoat for a crime they can't solve. You can't afford a real lawyer, so you get a public defender. Good luck with that one, from what I hear. So how do you get people who live in make-believe world, which is to understand that when they say a person got what they deserve, it's not always the case? Because sometimes they didn't deserve to get 30 years at the age of 17, when at the age of 17, they got involved with a gang because of all different kind of reasons. And then when they begin to mature and realize there's more to life besides gang banging, you say, oh, well, too bad, let them rot in prison. So how do you reach somebody like that?
I talk to as many people as I can, you know, and you have to start the conversation, because 9 times out of 10, the response I get is, mass incarceration or criminal justice. None of that has anything to do with me. Okay. But I say, are you a taxpayer? Because if you're a taxpayer, it has everything to do with you. We spent $2.8 billion in the state last year for a system that does not work.
I agree
It
with
does
that.
not keep our society any safer. It's doing nothing but taking the money. It's, you have to have the conversation. And 10 years ago, people like myself were very few and far between. Okay. But now we're more and more and more. And we're not going to go away. We're not going to be silent. Is this going to be fixed in my lifetime? Absolutely not. Will I pass the torch to the generation behind me? Absolutely. But God has put on my heart that this is my purpose. So I'm going to fight this fight until I take my last breath.
Okay, here's another question I have. As far as bills or stuff getting passed, is the general public even aware of what's trying to get passed or what we're trying to put in place to make the prison a place where a person can actually get reformed versus learning how to become a better criminal or just coming out messed up more than what they were when they actually came in?
Well, I don't think that a lot of people pay attention to what bills go every legislative session. I mean, right. I just think people are so caught up in living life, the stressful life, and as hectic as it is in today's world, that they don't, they figure out who they want to vote for if they vote, and they vote.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of advocacy groups that, do things differently. We held a march to promote a parole bill. We have media coverage. We reach out to the media. We do interviews. We do podcasts. We do webinars. We get together with celebrity national organizations like Van Jones's Dream Corp, Cut 50, Meek Mill's and Jay-Z's Reform Alliance. We've paired up with their representatives in this state, and other organizations travel around and do educative classes and teach the loved ones of incarcerated people how to advocate for their loved ones if they're not getting the proper medical care and whatnot. Right. But at the same time, we also educate them that if they want change, that they have to show up, they have to attend legislative session. Lots of groups have grants that pay for cheap lodging, and they ask that, every week a certain amount of people come. We ask that you speak to your district legislators, and you just keep bringing it, to their attention. Look, I'm a constituent. I live in your district, and this is important to me. And if it's not important to you, I voted you in. Well, we're going to vote you out. Each year, we see more and more legislators who are pro prison reform and pro, sentencing reform. And each year we might just get one more, but as opposed to 5, 6, 7 years ago, nobody in the legislature was interested. We throw these people away, we throw away the key, and we forget about them. And it's people like me that keeps it in the media's eyes, in the legislators. I mean, we're constantly calling legislators, and we have, a handful that go unannounced. Legislators, judges, and attorneys are the only 3 that can show up to a prison unannounced and have to be let in. They are going on our behalf. They're showing up. They're checking conditions. If there's an incident of abuse reported, they show up. And we challenged them a couple of years ago, visit a prison. And so now all of them visit a prison, and they're much more aware. I remember 5, 6 years ago, the first delegation meeting I ever went to, one guy was like, "What do you mean there's no air conditioning? How can that be?" Another one was like, "We don't have parole." I mean, even the legislators don't know. It's not something if they've never been directly impacted, a family member being incarcerated, a close friend, a coworker, they don't know.
So now another question. How did they manage to keep this such a secret that the population as a whole is unaware of what's going on?
I don't know. I really don't, because I can say that about 8 or 9 years ago, I was one of those people.
Okay.
And I don't know. I was in my life at the time praying for a purpose, and I just happened to strike up an acquaintance at church, and she said she had a like a young middle school friend who had gone to prison, and that mail was so important, and would I be interested in writing, blah 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 blah. So I started to write this individual, and after 4 or 5 months, I went to go visit. I had never been to a jail or a prison or anything. I can remember when I first saw the prison, I literally spoke out in my car, "What in the world are you doing?" And I had been praying for a purpose. Well, little did I know that while I was visiting, I realized that the people waiting to get in were people just like me. Okay, which is not what I had in my mind. You know what I'm saying? And then I saw things, and I was just like, this can't be. I'm not seeing this. This is unacceptable.
Well, I'll say this. I had visited a couple of relatives that were locked up once before, and pulling in the parking lot scared the mess out of me, because you can feel the intensity of what's coming out of that building, and that's how powerful. I'm a very receptive person, though, and then just walking in and going through all the stuff, and then it's like, wow, it's like you can just feel the intensity in the air, and you can just kind of like sense the danger in the air. So it's like I said to myself, I never want to do anything wrong, but I've been one of the lucky ones. I've never had any run-in with the police. I've never been locked up, but I've been around. Like I say, I work with a lot of people who are coming from that world, and a lot of them, they do have a reformed mind. That they've changed their view on lots of things in life. So I think it's not fair to take somebody 17 years old, put him in jail for 40 years, and when he gets out, what's he going to do?
Right.
How's he going to give back to society? And then, of course, you got that other part of the population that says, why should I take my taxpayers' money and pay for someone in jail to get educated?
Because
that group of people,
but because that person eventually is coming back to your community.
Right.
Okay, that's why. And unless what we're doing is setting up civilians to become victims if we don't better these people while they're in there.
Yeah, I had a person on my show. He's phenomenal. He went in jail for some stuff, came out with a doctorate degree. We had the greatest conversation in the universe, and he enlightened me on stuff that I kind of knew about, but he took it another level. So I said, well, that's a beautiful thing that, he made a mistake, went to prison, made the best of his time, got educated, and now is giving back. So that's a prime example of what you said. But there's that other half of society that says, well, you're the bad guys. The bad guys get what they deserve. Oh, well, not my problem, not my monkey, not my circus, You got that part of society.
Yeah. And, there are some people who deserve to be in prison.
Yeah, I agree.
Serial killers and whatnot. But there's a lot of people who have mental health disease that don't need to be in there. And there's a lot of people that are drug addicts that don't need to be in there. These people need mental health, counseling or medical care. They need to be in some type of hospital atmosphere. And the drug addicts need to be in rehabilitation.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
And now marijuana is legal, and there's people that sit in prison that were sentenced to life. Nothing is ever applied retroactive here.
You mean, let me make sure I heard you right. They got sentenced to life, off a marijuana charge.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't even register in my head as making any sense.
Yep.
Wow.
Tough
Wow.
on crime era with the drugs in Florida when cocaine was real bad. I mean, it was it was bad. And I got on a call maybe 3 weeks ago with Washington, where they're trying to make this, if you get caught with cocaine, it's one thing, but if you get caught with crack, it's a whole other different thing. The sentencing for crack has always been disproportionate to cocaine. It's the same drug, okay? It's just a different form. We're trying to get it to be the same.
Right.
Legislators are wanting to take cocaine now to the level of crack sentencing. And it's like, no. Okay, stop this. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of people that sit in Florida prisons life with marijuana charges, because we're a state where if you get in trouble, say you were a young juvenile and you got busted with a couple of joints, and then in your early 20s you got in some kind of petty trouble again, and then at 37, I know someone who he had a drug problem and he pickpocketed someone's wallet in an elevator. The guy didn't even know until he was missing his wallet, and they pulled the camera footage in the elevator. Well, this was this gentleman's third strike.
Wow.
He got life in prison. And I've sat back and watched him lose family member after family member after family member while he sits in prison for $37. The time doesn't fit the crime.
Right.
I mean, you see on TV all the time stupid stuff like a young man steals something from 7-Eleven and then he gets shot in the back. Why?
Yeah.
It's a pack of cigarettes. Why is that worth a life?
Right. Exactly.
It's just things are just completely out of proportion.
Wow. Well, once again, Denise, before we end our episode, tell us about your organization. Tell us how we can reach you.
Okay, so you can look us up on the web at www.society-first. It's got a dash between society and first. And our website has a wealth of information. It's got inside testimonies from incarcerated individuals. It's got specific legal cases that you would think for sure they had a ground to stand on, and they just get denied over and over again. We have all of our past events. We have pictures. We have our upcoming events. We have an event coming up on April 2nd outside the grounds of a prison in the middle of Florida, Hardy Correctional. It's along with Dream Corps and a lot Reform Alliance and ministries, and a lot of people are involved to bring attention to the life sentences. And we are getting a legal team together to possibly challenge the unconstitutionality of the life sentence here in Florida.
Right.
We have the ACLU looking into it for us, the NAACP. So God has blessed us. He's opening a lot of doors. We continue to pray that he uses us as a vessel, and we just take one day at a time. I can tell you that my partner and co-founder, who is incarcerated, he had won a lawsuit. He was attacked by a gang member and his jaw was broken and all kinds of things. But he was attacked in a known blind spot in a prison where like 50 some attacks had occurred. And he sued the Department of Corrections, and it took many years, but he finally got monies, which is a very rare thing. And I was just about ready to sign the financial contract to hire 2 criminal defense attorneys to get him back into court, because he's been in there 20 plus years for something that he committed when he was 17. And he told me that God gave him a vision, and that's not what we were going to do. What we were going to do was we were going to birth a nonprofit, and we were going to bring attention to the dilemma of the life sentences in the state of Florida. And if he could help all the thousands of others that are suffering from this, that it would be worth him staying in prison. My heart was shattered, but if God gives a vision, then he's going to give a provision. And we have spent all of that money on the conference and all of the events that we do. So we ask that if you cannot show up and be boots on the ground at our events to help us boost numbers and show that there are many people that this subject matter means to, we ask that you can go on our website and donate. Even $20 helps us make a banner or, reach out to someone. And we always ask for prayers for covering, because this is hard work and the devil is attacking us at every avenue he gets the opportunity to.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, if you ever need somebody to be on Clergy Talk Podcast and talk about it, let me know. My format is going to be open to you or anyone in your team that wants to speak on it and share information and even share success stories of people who've gotten out of jail and have succeeded. So my doors are always going to be open to your organization.
Awesome.
And when you get a chance, send me some links. And when I post this episode, I'll post those links as well.
Okay, awesome.
And
awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem. And with that being said, Denise, thank you for appearing on Clergy Talk Podcast. And my prayers will be with you, your family, your entire organization.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And you have a blessed day.
All right. God bless.
See you.
Bye-bye.